I've got another question. This one's from Peter, and Peter asks, are the books you need to keep for a limited company any different or more complicated than for self-employed accounts?
Okay.
And let's just start by giving a little bit of a clarity on limited company and self-employed before.
Right. Okay.
The books.
Yeah, limited companies are separate legal entities in themselves, which means that they are their sort of almost their own person. So to have a limited company in the UK, you form that through Companies House, and the website is companieshouse.gov.uk. And when you do that, you actually get a certificate of registration. So it's like a birth certificate. So a limited company is a separate legal entity within itself, so it can send invoices in its own name. So my limited company, Boogles Limited, sends invoices in its own name. And then there are sort of legal filing obligations when you have a limited company. So Companies House every year will need to have a profit and loss account and a balance sheet and the director's report, just a few bullet points. And when you file these things online, then they have templates for you. So that's what they need: profit and loss account, balance sheet, and a director's report. Whereas, and the other thing with limited companies is that information is public. You can go to Companies House and request data on any limited company, so it's in the public domain. Whereas self-employed, when you're a self-employed individual, you register with the HMRC or Inland Revenue, and by doing that, you have a tax return that you fill out once a year. They will normally, if you're on a paper copy, they'll send them out around about April, May. And if you're registered for their online filing service, and they are trying to move everyone onto the online system, then it's mainly emails now.
Right.
And what they really want, depending on what your level of turnover is, but I think if it's less than 15,000, they really just need a very simple profit and loss account. They don't bother with the balance sheet. They just need a simple profit and loss. So it's basically what your sales have been and what your expenses have been. That's what they need to know. And self-employed income, that is private information that's between you and the Inland Revenue tax inspector.
Right.
So in terms of the records,
yeah,
you always have to keep your records. For example, income that's come in, you need to keep records of that. Expenses, money that's been spent, you have to keep records of that. So record keeping is the same, but it's the information that you give over. Limited companies, they want the balance sheet. Self-employed don't necessarily need to have the balance sheet.
So if you have a small turnover of around less than £15,000 at the moment, you don't need to submit a balance sheet. But should you have one anyway for your own records?
You can just for your own peace of mind, and your balance sheet really is a statement of your net worth. It's like when you take off everything that is owed to you and everything that you own, what are you worth? So that's sort of what your balance sheet will tell you for self-employment. But the reason you have to keep one for a limited liability company is so that if you can see what that company is worth, if you like.
Okay.
Individuals don't tend to need to have the balance sheet.
Right.